I absolutely love how your new man treats you, Elizabeth.
He's not as gentle as others, but he's really confident about everything he does.
He's the right man for you.
I hate those nice guys who seek approval.
Luckily, my new man is masculine enough to be a man, not a boy.
Here's something that might make you uncomfortable. Your brain sees a uniform and instantly assumes that person has power and legitimacy. And this happens in less than a second before you can even think about it consciously. Let me tell you about one of the most disturbing experiments in psychology history. In 1961, a psychologist named Stanley Milgram wanted to understand why people follow orders. So he set up an experiment. He brought ordinary people into a lab and told them to give electric shocks to strangers. The shocks weren't real, but the participants didn't know that. Here's the shocking part. When the person giving orders wore a white lab coat, 65% of participants delivered what they thought were dangerous, potentially lethal shocks. They did this simply because someone in a uniform told them to. The uniform gave that authority figure instant credibility. It bypassed their normal moral judgment completely. And this same mental shortcut happens to you every single day. When you see a police officer, a doctor, or a security guard, your brain automatically places them in a position of trust. You don't question them the way you would question someone in regular clothes. This isn't a flaw in your thinking. It's actually how your brain is designed to work. But as you're about to see, this design has a serious vulnerability. Now here's where things get darker. Con artists and criminals know all about this psychological weakness, and they've been using it to walk right into places they don't belong, right past people like you and me.
Good afternoon. I'm with the health department. We're doing a quick inspection today. Could you tell me where your manager is?
Of course, sir. He's in the kitchen, right through that door. Want me to call him for you?
That won't be necessary. I'll speak to him directly.
No problem. Just head straight through. You'll see him by the prep counter. Busy day for you guys?
It's been non-stop lately. We're trying to keep things smooth.
We haven't had an inspection in a while. Well, our chef's a clean freak.
That's good to hear.
You'll have an easy job today.
Thank you. You can get back to your tables. I'll handle it from here.
Sure thing. Have a good one, sir.
Let me share some real stories that might disturb you. Over the years, people dressed as utility workers have broken into homes across the United States. Families let them inside, watched them walk through their rooms, and then they were robbed. In 2024 in Michigan, a man dressed as a DT energy worker knocked on the door of a 72-year-old man. The victim let him in without hesitation. That encounter ended in murder. When police interviewed victims of these crimes, almost all of them said the same thing. I never questioned him because he looked official, but it gets worse. Fake police officers have pulled over drivers on highways, and people complied without ever verifying if these officers were real. Some of these encounters ended in robbery. In 2024, a man in Florida was arrested after impersonating a police officer during a robbery. In hospitals across the country, people wearing scrubs or white coats have accessed restricted areas. They've stolen medication. They've walked past security. In 2025, a fake nurse who stole the anesthetic drug propofol from multiple hospitals was finally arrested. Also in 2025, another fake nurse who had cared for over 4,000 patients was arrested at her home while wearing scrubs. In 2025, a man was accused of stealing $100,000 worth of skin grafts and medical supplies from a hospital while disguised in scrubs. Think about delivery drivers for a moment. How many times have you seen someone in a brown uniform or carrying a package and you just assumed they belong there? These uniforms give strangers access to apartment buildings, gated communities, and office buildings every single day. The uniform creates what I call an invisibility cloak. People stop asking questions because the clothing seems to answer them. He's wearing a uniform, so he must be legitimate. Your brain makes this assumption automatically, and criminals know it. But here's where the psychology gets even stranger. It's not just about the uniform itself. There's something much deeper happening in your mind. Uniforms trigger what psychologists call social proof. When someone looks like they belong somewhere, you automatically assume they do belong there. Your brain doesn't want to do the extra work of verifying this, and the effect is incredibly powerful. Studies have shown that you're more likely to follow directions from someone in a uniform, even if what they're asking seems a little odd. Research on obedience and authority shows that people consistently comply with uniformed figures at significantly higher rates than with people in civilian clothing. Think about that for a second. The exact same person asking for the exact same thing, but just by changing their clothes, they can control whether you obeyed them or not. Here's another unsettling finding. People in uniforms are automatically perceived as more competent, more honest, and more trustworthy. Even when researchers use obviously fake uniforms, the effect still works. And this isn't just an adult problem. Studies show that children trust uniformed strangers significantly more than people in regular clothing. This makes them especially vulnerable. But wait, it gets even more interesting. The uniform effect extends beyond just clothing. Badges, clipboards, ID cards, hanging from lanyards, official-looking vehicles, all of these symbols trigger the same trust response in your brain. Why does this happen? Because your brain is trying to save energy. If you had to carefully analyze and verify every single person you encountered, you'd be mentally exhausted by noon. So your brain uses shortcuts, and uniforms are one of the biggest shortcuts it uses. The problem is, once you understand how a shortcut works, you can exploit it.
Good evening. Do you have a reservation, or would you like me to find you a table?
No reservation. We were just passing by. Do you have something for two?
Of course. Would you prefer a table by the window or something a bit quieter in the back?
Let's go with the window.
Perfect choice. Right this way, please. Oh, hey, boss. How'd the inspection go? Everything all right?
What inspection? There hasn't been anyone here. I've been alone since lunch.
Now, this might surprise you, but this uniform psychology isn't new. Throughout history, leaders and governments have understood this power, and they've used uniforms to control millions of people. Let's go back thousands of years. Ancient Roman soldiers wore distinctive armor and military dress. When they marched into conquered territories, people would see those uniforms and immediately understand the authority they represented. The uniform commanded instant respect and obedience without a single word being spoken. The Roman military uniform served not just a practical purpose, but a psychological one, projecting power and demanding submission from those who saw it. Fast forward to more modern times. Military uniforms were specifically designed to make soldiers look identical, powerful, and authoritative. This wasn't just about identification on the battlefield. It was about psychological control, making the enemy afraid and making citizens obedient. Research shows that military uniforms have a significant psychological dimension, influencing both the wearer and the observer. During World War II, both the Allies and the Axis powers understood uniform psychology perfectly. They designed their uniforms not just for function, but to project authority and inspire either loyalty or fear, depending on who was looking at them. Studies on psychological issues in military uniform design confirm that every aspect from color to insignia is carefully calculated for psychological impact. And even today, this understanding continues. Governments carefully design police and military uniforms to trigger your obedience response. The colors, the badges, the way they're structured, none of this is accidental. Dark colors like navy blue and black are used because they project authority and power. Badges and insignias are placed prominently because they signal legitimacy. But it's not just governments. Companies use this too. Businesses put their employees in uniforms because it increases customer trust and compliance. When you see someone in a branded uniform at a store, you're more likely to believe what they tell you, follow their suggestions, and spend more money. Even the small details matter. The style of the uniform, the accessories, the way it fits. All of this is calculated to trigger a specific response in your brain, a response that makes you more obedient, more trusting, and less questioning. This has been going on for thousands of years, and it's not stopping anytime soon.
Every single client in the restaurant thought you were a real inspector.
As I said, this plan was absolutely genius.
So, after I got fired, how do we split the money?